heretofore on or about February 14th, 2022, did then and there unlawfully, recklessly cause the death of Arlene Alvarez by discharging a firearm in the direction of an occupied motor vehicle while making no effort to determine the identity of the occupants of the motor vehicle, and shooting Arlene Alvarez with a firearm, causing her death against the peace and dignity of the state of Texas.
I declare Mr. Earls guilty or not guilty. You may be seated. State, you may proceed.
Before
Y'all see that? Like, when they even redoing the charges, right before they go in there, they haven't even been into the opening statements. He is devastated by this, guys. This is about as far as I got, besides reading the background of the case. But when I seen him crying at this point, I said, "Oh, I want to watch this trial. I don't think I want to watch the one in Georgia." And that's how we kind of got to this one. But I mean, wow. I mean, in my heart, you know, and especially for a man, because men don't really, you know, sometimes they can't show their emotion, right? They gotta be tough. But we didn't even make it past. We didn't even got to opening statements, y'all, and he over there sniffling and everything. And it just breaks my heart. It breaks my heart on both sides. Because they did lose their daughter. Wow. Okay. Let's start with the prosecution team opening statements. The prosecutors opening statements. I'll probably be calling them prostitutes at different times. Y'all let me know if I ever call them prostitutes, because I probably will inadvertently. All right.
she was a name on an indictment, Arlene Alvarez lived with her parents and her family in Southeast Houston, Pasadena area. She was 9 years old. She was in 4th grade. She loved to do her nails and do new videos, dreamed of being on TikTok. She was being raised by her working income parents. Her dad, who's an electrician, her mom, a hairstylist. She lived there in Southeast Houston with her younger brother and baby brother. On February 14, 2022, yes, Valentine's Day, she had gone to the mall with her mom and bought her dad cologne. Dad, being an electrician, he had a job that day. It finished early, and then he got a call where he had to do another job in North Houston, so he was late. He didn't get home until around about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, greeted at the door by Arlene with her cologne. Feeling horrible, says, let's go out to eat. So the family decides they're going to go to their family restaurant that they go to once a week. Pizza place down the block. So they load up in the car and they're going down, and then Armando realizes he has to deposit some money in his checking account because he gets an alarm on his phone that his phone bill is due. So on the way to the restaurant, they detoured to Chase. Around the same time, the defendant and his wife is driving, go to a Chase bank. They are in a drive-through. And as she is also depositing money, horrible thing happens. Wife is approached on the driver's side between her and the ATM, and there appears to be a gun is placed in her face. Horrible, terrifying. She's being robbed, and he's in the passenger seat, the defendant. He says, give me all your stuff. They end up giving her a purse, small purse, wallet, $20. And then the guy who robs them takes her keys, has her take her keys and throw them inside her car. And he takes off running. And this is where this begins. The defendant is sitting in the passenger seat during this robbery. He's the one that said, give him the wallet. Pauses for a few seconds. And as the robbery assailant is running away, he decides not to flee in the car. He decides to get out of his vehicle. He's got a handgun that he carries in his waistband. And what you're going to see, and you're going to learn, is he gets out of that vehicle angry and reckless, because he immediately turns his gun on that robbery suspect as he's running away from his vehicle. The law allows him to do that. And he shoots 3 times at that robbery suspect as the robbery suspect is running away. And then when the robbery suspect hits where the chase sign is, he darts behind it, and the defendant will never see him again. From his standpoint, where he is standing, he can't see beyond that. And just as that is happening, Armando and his family are traveling down that same street. Now, Armando was going to go to the front of the chase. He was not going to go to the side where he believes it's dangerous. But he then sees the robber running away from the scene. He sees him with the wallet in his hand. So he quickly deduces that this guy is a robber running away. And he hears the gunshots from the defendant in the direction of the robber. So Armando is trying to decide what to do. And so the first thing he's thinking of doing, he's going to U-turn and get away. But he knows there's a car directly behind him, so he can't do that. So he starts to veer, and then all he can do is, since he hears the gunfire, is to go forward. And when he does, the defendant immediately, remember how I said he was shooting? He doesn't get back in the car. The defendant then goes into the open grassy area, and he fixates on the next thing he sees, which is a moving vehicle going down the street. Now, this is not a matter of the defendant shooting at the robber and missing, and an errant bullet hitting the truck. Not at all. This is a case in which what the defendant does is, as soon as he misses sight of the robber running away behind that sign, he immediately directs his attention to the next vehicle coming down the street, which is the Alvarez's. And he immediately, in John Wick fashion, starts firing at the vehicle as the vehicle passes him. He already shot 3 times. And it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then some time for the 10th shot. As Armando is being shot at and going fast, he tells his family, get down, as he's looking and he's driving. And everybody gets down. But Arlene, because she has headphones on, and she can't hear. And as he drives past the defendant shooting, as the car is directly on side of him, one of the many bullets pierces the back passenger door, between the door and the window. And that bullet travels into that car, pierces the lock. The bullet fragments part of the bullet, enters her head, right in her right eye, and the other part falls into the as Armando drives by that chase, he looks and he sees him. His son is screaming. His 7-year-old son, Armando Jr., is screaming right next to his sister with the blood. So he stops the car. And he gets out in the back, checks on her, sees she's been shot, and the first instinct was, I got to get this guy's plates, and gets back in the car. And as that is happening, the defendant fires another one and takes off. We can't bring you to the crime scene, but throughout this week, we're going to bring it to you. You're going to get multiple surveillance footage. You'll be able to see through your own eyes what happened. Today, you're going to see a surveillance video from Chase Bank that's never been released to the public. So you'll see this. And it's the only surveillance that you will get that is from the perspective of the defendant. What you will see is that horrible robbery going on. You'll see it through the front windshield as the assailant is next to his wife. What you'll see is as soon as that robber starts to run off, the defendant chooses to get out of the vehicle with his firearm and fire at him 3 times as he's running away. What you will see is as he's firing at him 3 times, that robbery suspect never shoots back. As he's firing at him 3 times, that gun that was in his hand never shoots back. And what you'll see is then he gets behind that chase sign. And you'll see from that surveillance, the defendant then chooses not to get back in the vehicle quickly and speed off. That defendant chooses to then go to the grassy area of Chase. And you'll see immediately, you'll see Armando's headlights. You will see he immediately fixates on those headlights. And as that car is coming, his next shots go all the way as he's tracking him down. I want you to remember, write it on there. You'll get evidence of it. 3, 2, 4, 1. The 3 shots at the guy's back. Boom, boom, 2 at the truck. Another one, another one, another one, another one. As you'll see Armando going by. In his truck, you'll see from the chase video, blacked out windows. You can't see in. He fired recklessly into a truck. He had no idea who was in there. Then you'll see him. He'll start to drive off. And remember, he has to get the keys. So he gets out of the vehicle and he picks up the keys. You'll see this on the surveillance. He'll get back in the car. And just when you think it's done, just when you think he has caused enough havoc, just when you think he's going to drive off and speed off, what he does is as they're exiting, he opens the door as his wife is still driving. And he puts his gun out and shoots down the street as Armando is checking on his daughter. And then speeds off. You'll see it with your own eyes. You'll see it first thing this morning. Don't worry, you're going to see it again and again. It'll be dissected. We're actually, at some point in this trial, going to play you the defendant's 911, where as they're driving off, he and his wife call 911. They had just been robbed. But what you're going to hear, this is him driving from the scene. You're going to know the first things he says in the beginning is he'll lie to the 911 operator. Because he says, that robber shot at me first, so I had to return fire. from that chase video, you're gonna know that is not true. Then what he'll say, and his wife will say, is they thought that that truck was the getaway truck. It'd be the first getaway driver who drives back to the scene. There's no way that robber, he would have had to be Spider-Man to get into a moving truck. That's what he says. Then the wife says something very interesting in 911. They say, well, who was this driver? And she says, an Hispanic man. And tries to describe her, the clothing, she gets it off. So what does that tell you? That tells you as they were, because obviously she's not going to see him in clothing as he's driving. What it tells you is as they're exiting the driveway, just as he is shooting down the street, she must have seen Armando getting out of the car. So it was bad enough he was going to recklessly fire into a car that had windows tinted he couldn't see in. Now he's firing at another human being that he had never previously seen. We're not going to bring it to that again from the first responding police officer who arrives on scene within minutes. We're bringing the scene to you. And what you're going to see on that is Armando is freaked out. Armando is quickly saying, the guy came from the chase. Go get that video from the chase. Armando is going to tell that officer, he was shooting at a robber. He deducted it was a robbery because he saw the wallet in the hand and the shooting going on. He said he was shooting at the robber, then he all of a sudden turned the gun on us. And he'll even show it by the chase ATM. He'll go, bah, 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 bah. You're going to see it. That was his initial thing. He says it a couple times to the officers. Now they're going to process the scene. They're going to recover some shell cases, not all, and you learn that that's not uncommon. Every shell casing does come back to the defendant's gun. They're also, because he responded to 911, patrol officers went to the defendant's home. He cooperated. He gave over his gun. Now, what's going to be interesting to you, one never had an answer for it, is the magazine that he says was in it isn't going to add up. It's 12 capacity magazine. There's 6 bullets in it. Clearly, he's shot more times. He tends, so either he reloaded or it's a different clip. You all can determine that. What's important, though, is every shell casing recovered at the scene wraps back to that gun. Now, the bullet, that part of the bullet that ended up in Arlene's head was too damaged because of being inside the head and the path that it can't be identified. However, the bullet fragment that was part of that bullet that was found in the vehicle, that is the same from his gun. But again, this isn't a case of a whodunit. This isn't a case where officers have to investigate, talk to people to find things. This is a case of which you can determine it from watching it and seeing it. And y'all are going to get to see it firsthand. Because we're also going to show you other scenarios from across the street, and just down the street, and all the way down the street. But as you're watching these surveillances described to you, keep in mind the defendant would not have had that perspective. It helps you understand everything because it's across the street and down the street, but the defendant from the scene, from the chase sign, from the trees, would not have been able to see what I'm about to tell you. In the surveillance camera across the street, you will see Armando as he turns a little bit to the right because he's going to make that U-turn. And you know he wasn't going to go into the driveway because he would have crashed because you can't do that fast. So you'll see that. You will also see that robbery suspect run straight by his truck. So you might think to yourself, well, that's reasonable that he thought he was a getaway driver because he rode right by the truck. But the defendant would not have been able to see him. What it will confirm to you is he obviously didn't get into the truck. But then something else happens. What you will also see from that video and the video just down the next business right after the chase is you will see that robbery assailant doing this. And that's where the false narrative begins. Because it will look like he's shooting. Now keep in mind, the defendant, from where that assailant was at that moment, and from where the defendant was at that moment, he would not have been able to see this. But you will also notice there's not a muzzle flash that comes from the end of that barrel. It was more of a, I do this, because all the assailant's hearing is gunfire. He's hearing his gunfire from this defendant into a truck. But what you'll see is then he continues running. And as he gets to the end of the parking lot, he'll do it again. You will see him lift his arm up like this. Again, probably response to hearing gunfire. But you will not see muzzle flash. Unlike on that same video, you're going to see muzzle flash from the defendant's gun. Unlike on the chase video, you're going to see muzzle flash from the defendant's gun. Then there's more. Because as that robbery suspect is running down the street, he decides to take a left, and there is a gate, an iron gate, that he chooses to jump over. But before he jumps over it, he drops the gun and drops the purse, the wallet. And you'll see, as he's doing that, you know that car that was behind Armando, the reason why he couldn't do the U-turn? That guy's trying to get out of there. And he sees it, and then he does it again. He does his arm up again. Again, no muzzle flash. And he picks up the wallet and the gun in the same hand as he jumps the fence. You're going to learn that there were 10 shots that night. And we believe by the conclusion of this trial, you will conclude that all 10 came from the defendant. But again, those videos are giving you complete context. We're showing you everything. But remember, it's only that chase video that you will see is the defendant's perception of what happened. During this trial, we will dissect these videos. You will be a unique jury. You don't have to rely on what people tell you, because sometimes people get it wrong. As time goes on, you remember things differently. What's important is what happened right now. You'll be able to see with your own eyes. You will hear from a firearms reconstructionist, and that will be beneficial because you will know that based on the hole in the car, based on where it is and the size of it and the way it looks and the way it's dissected, that this was definitely a straight-on fire. It's not a matter of shooting this way and the errant bullet hitting the car. This was as the car is passing, as he's in front of it, 36 feet away. The bullet that pierced that truck and killed Arlene. Not as he shot at a robber, but as he shot at a vehicle that he couldn't see into because he thought somebody else had gotten into it. Killing an innocent third party. conclusion of this trial, you will decide that even under all the circumstances that defendant was experiencing that moment after being locked, he was extremely reckless by shooting into a vehicle he had no idea he was in. And he's guilty of manslaughter for taking the life